The 2000s had plenty of big-name stars like Peyton Manning and Ray Lewis, but this list is all about the guys who made major contributions to their teams without always getting the spotlight. These players consistently delivered on the field, but for one reason or another, they were overlooked by the media or overshadowed by flashier names. Let's dive into the top 10 most underrated players of the 2000s. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt might just be one of the most reliable receivers of the 2000s, and his numbers prove it. His best season came in 2003 when he put up 1,696 receiving yards on 117 catches, leading the NFL in both categories. But Holt didn't stop there. Between 2000 and 2007, he had 8 straight seasons with over 1,000 receiving yards, including 4 seasons with over 90 receptions. He finished the decade with over 10,000 yards and 68 touchdowns. Despite these incredible stats, Holt often played second fiddle to louder personalities like Randy Moss and Terrell Owens. What set Holt apart was his consistency. Week in and week out, he produced, whether the Rams were contending or rebuilding. Holt's ability to fly under the radar, despite his numbers, mirrors many on this list. But just wait until we get to number 1 if you want to see an even greater example. Coming in at number 9 is Corey Dillon, and it's hard to argue with the kind of numbers he put up. Dillon's best year was in 2004 when he helped the Patriots win Super Bowl 39 with 1,635 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. But Dillon's career started well before his New England days. In Cincinnati, he put up 6 1,000-yard seasons, including a then record-breaking 278-yard rushing game in 2000. Dillon was known for being a bruising downhill runner who could wear defenses down. By the end of the 2000s, Dillon had over 11,000 rushing yards and 82 total touchdowns. Despite these impressive stats, he was often overshadowed by bigger names like LaDainian Tomlinson and Shaun Alexander. At number 8, we have Hines Ward. Hines Ward was the heart and soul of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense in the 2000s. Known as much for his physical play as for his receiving skills, Ward was always willing to do the dirty work. His best year came in 2002 when he caught 112 passes for 1,329 yards and 12 touchdowns. But his real value went beyond stats. Ward played a pivotal role in the Steelers' Super Bowl 40 and Super Bowl 43 victories. Over the course of the decade, he finished with over 10,000 receiving yards and 83 touchdowns. Ward wasn't just a receiver, he was a blocker, a leader, and the guy you wanted when the game was on the line. If you think his toughness was impressive, wait until we get to another player on this list who redefined grit and reliability. Next up at number 7 is Steven Jackson, a true workhorse who could do it all. Jackson's best season came in 2006 when he put up a jaw-dropping 2,334 total yards from scrimmage and scored 16 touchdowns, leading the NFL in combined yards. Jackson had a rare combination of power and agility, and he wasn't afraid to lower his shoulder to gain extra yards. From 2005 to 2012, Jackson posted 8 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons, finishing the decade with over 9,000 rushing yards and 12,000 total yards. Despite his incredible production, Jackson played on struggling Rams teams that never made the playoffs, which kept him under the radar. Coming in at number 6 is Donald Driver. Donald Driver might be the most underrated receiver of the 2000s, and his consistency proves it. Driver had 7 seasons with over 1,000 yards, including a standout season in 2006 when he caught 92 passes for 1,295 yards and 8 touchdowns. Over the course of his career, he racked up over 10,000 receiving yards, becoming the Packers' all-time leader. He played a key role in the Packers' Super Bowl 45 run, making crucial catches when it mattered most. Despite his production, Driver was often overshadowed by the Packers' big-name quarterbacks. First Brett Favre, then Aaron Rodgers. Driver wasn't the flashiest player, but he was as tough as they come, rarely dropping passes and always willing to make catches in traffic. At number 5, we have Darren Sharper. Sharper was one of the most dangerous safeties of the 2000s. His best season came in 2009 when he recorded 9 interceptions and set the NFL record with 376 interception return yards, taking 3 of those picks to the house. Sharper finished his career with 63 interceptions, which put him among the top safeties of all time. His ability to change the game in an instant made him invaluable to the teams he played for, especially the Saints, who won Super Bowl 44 with him anchoring their secondary. Despite his knack for big plays, Sharper never seemed to get the same love as Ed Reed or Troy Polamalu. But when it came to game-changing turnovers, Sharper was one of the best safeties of the decade. Coming in at number 4 is Rondé Barber, the Swiss Army knife of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Barber's best season came in 2001 when he recorded 10 interceptions and was a key part of the Buccaneers' Super Bowl 37 run the following year. Barber is the only player in NFL history with over 40 interceptions and 25 sacks, showcasing his rare ability to contribute in both coverage and the pass rush. He could cover, he could blitz, and he always seemed to be around the ball. Yet Barber was often overlooked, with guys like Champ Bailey and Charles Woodson grabbing the spotlight. Barber's versatility and football IQ made him an invaluable part of one of the best defenses of the decade. Donovan McNabb lands at number 3, and for good reason. McNabb was the heart and soul of the Eagles throughout the 2000s, leading them to 5 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl appearance. His best season came in 2004 when he threw for 3,875 yards and 31 touchdowns, while also rushing for another 220 yards. McNabb's dual threat ability made him one of the most dangerous quarterbacks of his time, but he was constantly overlooked in favor of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. He finished the decade with over 32,000 passing yards and 216 total touchdowns, yet he rarely gets mentioned among the greats. His ability to extend plays with his legs and make clutch throws is what kept the Eagles in contention year after year. Taking the second spot is Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor was one of the most productive yet underappreciated running backs of the 2000s. His best season came in 2003 when he rushed for 1,572 yards and helped the Jaguars reach the playoffs. Taylor had 6 1,000-yard rushing seasons during the decade and finished his career with over 11,500 rushing yards. Despite these numbers, Taylor made just 1 Pro Bowl and was often overshadowed by bigger names like LaDainian Tomlinson and Shaun Alexander. Taylor's blend of power, speed, and vision made him one of the most complete backs of his time, but playing in a small market like Jacksonville kept him out of the national conversation. And taking the top spot is London Fletcher. Fletcher was the heart and soul of every defense he played on. Fletcher's best season came in 2005 when he recorded an incredible 157 tackles, 4 sacks, and 2 interceptions for the Buffalo Bills. Over the course of his career, Fletcher never missed a game, playing in 256 consecutive games. From 2000 to 2009, he posted 9 consecutive seasons with over 100 tackles, a remarkable feat of consistency. Despite those numbers, Fletcher was often left out of Pro Bowl conversations, only receiving his first nod late in his career. Mainly because of bigger names like Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher often took the spotlight, but Fletcher's production and leadership were undeniable. He's the epitome of an underappreciated star, doing the dirty work while rarely getting the accolades. Fletcher's career stats of over 2,000 tackles should cement his place as one of the greatest linebackers, and yet he remained vastly underrated throughout the decade. These 10 players made a lasting impact on the NFL in the 2000s, even though they often flew under the radar. Their contributions were vital to their team's success, but they rarely got the recognition they deserved. If you think these guys were impressive, just wait until you check out our top 10 most underrated players of the 90s. Click the link on your screen to watch it now, and be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another countdown.